There is a very high risk of a terrorist attack against Western Allied evacuation operations in Afghanistan, according to a senior British source. The security of evacuation operations is already extremely precarious as the UK, US and other allied forces have had to rely on the Taliban to allow evacuees into the airport as their fighters now control the surrounding areas. The unnamed source told Sky News that an affiliate of the ISIS, the Islamic State Khorasan, ISIS-K, is among the most dangerous of threats to evacuation operations with a history of car and suicide bombings. Government ministers have raised concerns that ISIS-K could launch a terror attack on Allied troops and civilians amid the sea of people at the bottleneck of the airport gates. The Taliban announced this morning they would begin to block civilians reaching the airport, defying U.S. President Biden's demands of allowing access to the airport for those who are transporting out and no disruptions to our operations. This, coupled with the August 31st final withdrawal deadline issued by Taliban leaders, means civilian mercy flights will have to stop in the coming hours so that planes can be diverted to evacuate troops. Tory MP Bob Seely branded the manner of the West's departure from Afghanistan a categoric disaster. He warned that the idea al-Qaeda militants would now take up basket weaving in the Hindu Kush rather than plotting terror attacks was for the birds. If this does destroy Biden's presidency, you have to question his fitness for the role, the MP told Mail Online. You have got to question Trump's moral fitness for the role, but you have got to address Biden's intellectual fitness and health fitness for the role. I'm sorry, he is just gaga. He doesn't have a grip. How many slip-ups before people think yep, he can't do the job? Former Chief of UK Defence Staff Lord David Richards said British flights will have to stop by Friday. France has said it will stop flights tomorrow, Poland has already stopped flights, and Hungary has signalled that its mission is also drawing to a close. British Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab admitted this morning that the mercy missions are now into their final hours with some 4,000 people, 1,250 Western citizens and 2,500 Afghans, still left to rescue, though he did not say exactly when the final flight will leave or how many people may be left behind. That has sparked renewed desperation at the airport, as hundreds of Afghans wanting to get on the planes have taken to wading across an open sewer underneath walls where Western troops stand guard, waving papers in the hopes of being picked up. Fears are now growing that civilians could rush the runway and trigger a deadly stampede in a repeat of the horror scenes from last week, or else opportunistic terror groups such as ISIS could attack packed crowds. Mr. Raab was also forced to admit that the coming days will present maximum danger for British troops, fearing both a Saigon moment with crowds rushing planes and threats of a spectacular terrorist attack. But, Mr. Raab insisted, Britain will keep flying planes out of the country until the last possible moment in the hopes of getting as many people out as possible. One British soldier, speaking anonymously to the Daily Telegraph, said his biggest fear is a stampede at the airport and that the civilians might try and get in any way they can and potentially put us all at risk. Unfortunately, the quantity of civilians arriving is something we cannot control, with the majority of them not being eligible to be evacuated, he said, adding, "I and many others have seen a few mentally disturbing scenes. I think there will be more of that." Exactly how and when Allied forces will leave the airport entirely is being kept a closely guarded secret, amid fears that the news of a full exit could spark a rush of desperate people at the gates. Underlining the risks, one defense source told The Telegraph, it could be the airfield gets compromised by a massive incursion. It could be that the Taliban have an element that wants to put up a fight in the last days. It could be that ISIS wants to do a spectacular. The Pentagon said on Wednesday that U.S. forces have been very clear with the Taliban about what credentials we are willing to accept for people trying to get to the airport. By and large, with caveats, people have been getting through checkpoints, spokesman John Kirby said, adding, "We also have other means to get people in." When we have reports that someone credentialed is not being let in, we are making that clear to Taliban leaders they need to let them in, Kirby said. It was also revealed that a military operation recovered less than 20 people from Kabul under cover of darkness and brought them safely to the airport for evacuation. Members of the GOP said on Tuesday night that Biden has blood on his hands because thousands of American citizens and Afghan allies who helped U.S. troops could be left to die when the final evacuation flights depart, which could even be before midnight on August 31 to ensure a safe evacuation of everyone at the airport. Representative Seth Moulton, a Democrat from Massachusetts, and Representative Peter Meijer, a Republican from Michigan, who underwent a secret trip to Kabul to witness the situation at the airport for themselves, challenged President Biden and claimed that we won't get everyone out on time. Advertisement.